Sir Ian McKellen has revisited his role as Hamlet, 50 years after first starring in the Shakespeare tragedy. The actor, 82, posed for a photo call at the Theatre Royal in Windsor on Thursday ahead of opening night next week. Sir Ian, who recently insisted Hamlet is bisexual, is taking on the leading role in an age-blind interpretation of the tragedy. Despite his advancing years and experience, the thespian still demonstrated a passion for the role as he posed on a throne and with Yorick's skull. It is thought Hamlet was meant to be around 30 years old, while speculation over the character's sexuality has long been rife. Scholars have previously pointed out that while Hamlet is romantically involved with Ophelia, their relationship appears strained. The Prince of Denmark is cruel to her, and she becomes a lightning rod for his anger over Gertrude's marriage to Claudius, while others highlight the fact the pair simply share very little time on stage together. Hamlet also appears to have complex relationships with many of the male characters, including Rosencrantz, who tells him in the play, "You did love me once." Similarly, he is extremely close to Horatio, telling him, "Since my dear soul was mistress of her choice and could of men distinguish, her election hath sealed thee for herself, give me that man that is not passion's slave, and I will wear him in my heart's core, in my heart of heart, as I do thee." Meanwhile, the sexuality of Shakespeare himself has also been a topic of debate, despite his well-documented marriage to Anne Hathaway, with whom he had 3 children. Some scholars argue analysis of his sonnets suggests he is bisexual, as they are described as love poems addressed to a man, while also featuring puns relating to homosexuality. Speaking about the upcoming performance, Sir Ian told BBC Radio 4's Front Row, "When you come see me you won't see an old man pretending to be a young man, you'll see a man pretending to be a prince, pretending to be an intellectual, pretending to be an erotic, pretending to love his mother, pretending to love girls and boys." You didn't know that was in Hamlet, did you? It's there, Rosencrantz to Hamlet, "You did love me once." Discussing returning to the role in his 80s, Sir Ian said, "I suppose I thought I might be playing Polonius, no I'd like you to play Hamlet," said Sean Matthias, theatre director. There was a pause. "I thought that sounds like a bit of a silly idea, and then I thought no, if that's what you want to do, if you want to just say at the beginning of the show, here is a group of actors, all sizes, shapes and ages, and colors and ethnicities, and experience, and we're going to tell the old familiar story, but perhaps not in the old familiar way," that seemed to me an adventure worth going on. Sir Ian came out during a BBC radio appearance in 1988 and said he could not recall if it was planned or a spontaneous decision. He said, "I can't tell you for certain, but I know I'd been thinking about it and discussing with friends who were open about their sexuality as to whether it would be an appropriate thing for me to do." People I talked to, principally Armistead Maupin, author of Tales of the City, he said it would be important for me in my development as a person, but he said it would be important for other people. Well, that rather appealed to me, coming from a family of do-gooders. I hadn't felt up to that time that I was disadvantaged by the laws of the land which made it illegal for me to make love, because I simply broke the law. But of course when I grew up and understood what the actual laws were, and this pernicious new little law, Section 28, that was being brought in, very mean-spirited, inhibiting children to being introduced to the fact of homosexuality in society, it was only when I realized that there was grave injustice, that I realized it was a grave injustice against me, and I took it personally, and once I'd taken it personally it became obvious not what I had to do, but wanted to do. Asked if it liberated him, He replied, "Totally, oh yes. Once you are free as everyone else is, to choose to be your own person and express yourself in your own way, which when you're in the closet you can't and don't do, your life of course changes in every aspect for the better, particularly in relationships with other people. Is it any wonder that my acting got better? It did, almost overnight. Now my acting is not about disguise but about revelation.